Hello, and welcome to Grand Rounds for the Minnesota Regional Spinal Cord Injury Model Systems, or we call it SCIMS for short. Thank you for joining us today. The SCIMS is funded by the National Institute on Disability, Independent Living, and Rehabilitation Research, or NIDILRR. And they do this to support innovative projects and research in the delivery, demonstration, and evaluation of medical, rehabilitation, vocational, and other services to meet the needs of individuals with spinal cord injury. SCIMS represents an exciting partnership among the following Minnesota institutions: Courage Kenny Rehabilitation Institute in Minneapolis, the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Regions Hospital in St. Paul, and the University of Minnesota in Minneapolis. Next slide. Our community collaborators include Minnesota Spinal Cord Injury Association, Unite to Fight Paralysis, Get Up, Stand Up to Cure Paralysis, Paralyzed Veterans of America, United Spinal Association, and the North American Spinal Cord Injury Consortium. This system collectively provides a multidisciplinary continuum of care for people with spinal cord injury, including emergency medical, acute care, acute rehab, and post-acute services. My name is Angie Philippus, and I will be the moderator for today's session. I am a research project specialist in the Department of Rehab Medicine at the University of Minnesota Medical School, and I'm also part of the SCIMS. Next slide, please. A few housekeeping notes. The University of Minnesota has organized the CME for today's webinar. Please see the chat for information on how to record your attendance and claim CME credit for attending this webinar within 24 hours of this event. This meeting is being recorded and will be posted on the SCIMS website. But due to the number of registrants for today's webinar, we've placed phone lines on mute to reduce audio feedback. However, we welcome and encourage audience participation using the Q&A function. If you have technical or logistical questions, we ask that you please submit those in the chat to Dan Kelly. We extend a huge thanks to those who work behind the scenes to make these webinars possible. Next slide, please. The title of today's presentation is Assistive Technology After Spinal Cord Injury: How Minnesota's Assistive Technology Program Can Help. The speaker for today's webinar is Wehrenberg. And James is an assistive technology specialist with the Minnesota Assistive Technology Program called the Minnesota STAR program. He has over 20 years of experience working with individuals in various settings, including corporate foster care, in-home foster care, day programs, and job coaching. For the last 5 years, he has been specifically focused on working with assistive technology in various rehab facilities and state-run programs. His work experience, along with his degree in IT management, makes this job the best blend of all of his passions of working with technology, helping others, and providing compassionate care. He is excited to speak with you today about what assistive technology is and how it can help achieve more independence through life, through the state's assistive technology program, the Minnesota STAR program. So welcome, James, and thank you for presenting. Next slide.
Thank you, everyone. I just wanted to throw this out there. I don't have any conflicts of interest or disclosures to claim. So thanks for that wonderful introduction. I am James Wehrenberg, and I am an assistive technology specialist with the Minnesota STAR program. As you said, I do have a background in both information technology and social services, which makes this job the ideal job for me. I have worked in various foster care settings. In fact, my wife and I became licensed in 2013, and we provided in-home foster care for an individual who needed our help, who was on a waiver. And we helped her become completely independent and move into her own apartment in April of 2021. So my experience with assistive technology comes from my experience with all of that, working in the field, working in different types of settings. Before I started working for the Minnesota STAR program, I worked as an assistive technology specialist at the Courage Kenny Rehabilitation Institute in Golden Valley, Minnesota. In their AT department, under the direction of Matt White. So I credit him for introducing me to AT and fueling my passion for doing this job. And my experience both at Courage Kenny and Minnesota Star has given me much of the knowledge that I'm going to be sharing with you today. So thank you to everybody that was involved with that. I do want to make sure, though, that my recommendations today are not intended to diagnose any specific solutions for any particular individual, but rather it should be used to kind of gather some general knowledge about potential solutions for some common conditions. I recommend that individuals do seek professional assistance from their own medical providers, such as an occupational therapist, a physical therapist, or a speech language pathologist who kind of specialize in this area, or any other medical providers who would be able to refer you to the right person. So let's get started. Let's talk about the Minnesota STAR program and what we have to offer Minnesotans. So the STAR program is an acronym, and it stands for a system of technology to achieve results, which is a mouthful. It is our state's federally funded program, and it stems from the reauthorized Assistive Technology Act of 2004. So this program is by law required in every state across the nation, including 6 US territories. Our particular program is housed within the Department of Administration for the state of Minnesota. Our office is located in St. Paul, Minnesota, and we provide services to all Minnesotans. We do not require any proof of a disability, so any individual can utilize our services, even you guys today on the here with us. There is no cost to participate in the program, and our mission is to help all Minnesotans with disabilities gain access to and acquire the assistive technology they need to live, work, learn, and play, which is our mission statement. Minnesota STAR program serves all of Minnesotans, but we can't do it without the valuable help from our partners. So our partners are strategically spaced throughout the state to ensure that all Minnesotans in all 4 corners of our state are equally served. Months ago, we kind of went through this process of renewing our partner contracts, and we are excited to have added a couple more organizations into the mix. That includes Live Life Therapy Solutions operating out of the Twin Cities, but they serve all of Minnesota as well. And then Connectability is also a new partner operating out of the St. Cloud area. So these newer additions will make it even easier for Minnesotans to gain the access to the assistive technology and the demonstrations that they need that are going to be closer to their homes, depending on their region. So let's investigate a little further into what assistive technology is for those that aren't familiar. This is an image taken from the North Dakota Assistive Technology Program of a gentleman in the aftermath of a snowstorm, and we've all been there this winter. Man, it's been crazy. So he's outside on the sidewalk with his winter gear on, somewhat hunched over his walker, and Velcro to the front of his walker is a homemade plow made of wooden 2x4s. So with this setup, he can use his walker to make a path to the mailbox. I would invite you to think about whether you would consider this plow to be considered assistive technology or not. Some people would argue that it's just a few boards that are nailed together, while others feel that the plow is more of a means to get to provide more independence for this individual. So keeping this gentleman in mind, let's actually read the federal definition of what assistive technology is. Assistive technology is any item, piece of equipment, or product system, whether acquired commercially off the shelf, modified, or customized, that is used to increase, maintain, or improve functional capabilities of individuals with a disability. So using this definition, I would conclude that the gentleman's snowplow is in fact a piece of technology. And that just goes to show that assistive technology really is a broad range of things. It can range from a low tech to high tech, from homemade to manufactured, from very crude to very sophisticated machines. An AT specialist like myself exists to keep tabs on the newest items and trending technology in order to find devices that are going to meet a wider range of individuals with varying abilities. So the STAR program focuses on 4 main service areas that include device demonstrations, device equipment loans, including both short-term and open-ended loans. We provide information and assistance to anyone who's seeking those resources, and we provide training. So let's expand a little bit more in those areas, and we're going to start with device demonstrations. Demonstrations can be requested by any individual, any family member, any guardian, anybody, or professional. Professionals can be classified in areas of community services, so like a social worker, education, like teachers, employment, technology, healthcare, and rehab. It really doesn't matter to us. We'll demonstrate and do loans for anybody who's interested. Demonstrations allow a user to physically see the device. They can determine how big it is, how they're going to access the buttons, how they're going to hold the device if they can. And if they can't, maybe look at some mounting options to be able to have that help for them. Demonstrations also allow the user to look at different features to see how it functions. And we can demonstrate one device alone, or we can do several devices together to compare different features if they're kind of the similar devices. So knowing all this can really help with decision making, which is really important. The image on this slide is a little girl with cerebral palsy. She's sitting on the floor, trialing a communication device. In this scenario, we were demonstrating to her how the device works and allowing her to try it out for herself. These kind of demonstrations allow the team to determine if the device is going to be appropriate or not. And if the device seems appropriate, they can then loan out the device for a longer period of time. So with the device loan program, there are two types of loans. There's a short-term and an open-ended loan. With the short-term device loan, you can loan our devices for 45 days or less. A person can then really have a chance to kind of try it before they buy it type of scenario. During this loan period, users can test out the equipment in their own environments, so they can try it out at home, at work, at school, at the cabin, wherever they're going to be using the device. This kind of flexibility can really help with decision making, especially when some of these devices can cost hundreds to thousands of dollars. We have some professionals that check out our devices from time to time for development and education, and just want to expand their technical expertise. Sometimes the short-term loan can also provide like a temporary accommodation to get a person through until a more permanent solution can be achieved. And if somebody already uses a piece of technology and it breaks and we have that available in our library, they can loan that as a bridge to kind of get them through until their device is repaired or replaced. So as our devices age, which all technology does, they do get thrown into our open-ended loan program. So this program allows an individual to loan it for as long as they need to. This can be anywhere from months to years. It really doesn't matter to us. The only stipulation is that when they are finally done with the device, or they no longer need the device, or maybe it becomes damaged or broken or outdated, as far as like, you can't update it any further, that it does get back to us at that point, because we want to be able to take it out of our inventory and recycle it for you then. So Chris is a gentleman who I recently helped with an open-ended loan. He was looking for a voice amplifier called the Pocket Talker, which is pictured on this slide. Normally he has to yell at his 91-year-old mother who is hard of hearing. And so they were in the process of moving mom into an assisted living facility. And Chris wanted to make sure that she was able to hear all the caregivers and the whole intake process. So we happened to have that Pocket Talker on an open-ended loan, and the loan was established with Chris. We were definitely delighted to hear from Chris that the device worked perfectly for his mother. They were pleased at how much it helped to alleviate the stress and anxiety of moving, because mom was able to finally hear better with everyone involved in the intake process. So Chris also reported that it has improved the communication between him and his mom, and it has allowed him to reconnect with his mom once again, without the frustration of her not being able to hear him. So all in all, it was helpful to both of their relationships. And these are the types of scenarios that we're hoping to achieve with our program. So let's talk about the loan process. The loan process for, buying a home and a car is crazy and daunting, but our process is really easy. First, you have to decide which device that you want to loan. If you can do that through our online lending library, which I'm going to discuss next. But if you're unsure of what to loan, I just want to throw this out there right away at the beginning. Please contact us because we're here to help. We're often a great resource. We give good suggestions, and we do find it fun to collaborate and brainstorm with you. The more information that you can provide one of us when we answer the phone, the better. So come prepared with, some struggles that the person may be feeling, and just, how you want technology to be able to assist a person. Demonstrations can also help to determine about the best solution. So feel free to contact us to set up a demonstration before making a decision as well. Once a decision is made on a device, we check it out and we complete the appropriate paperwork, which requires a loan agreement that is required to be signed and returned to us, as well as a short 3-question survey. This information from the survey helps with funding the program and determining the future needs of the community and our lending library. So it helps shape what technology we want to purchase going forward. So our online lending library is at mn.at4all.com. It does require you to create an account. Once the account is created, you can explore the different technology that's housed on our site. There is a search bar at the top that will allow you to look for specific devices if you know what you're looking for by typing in the name. Once the device is located on our site, you can place it in the cart and check it out just like you would do online shopping. So it's pretty straightforward. There is no obligation to pay for this loan. The only cost that is associated with our device loans is shipping. So STAR will pay the cost to ship the device to you, to whatever address that you have listed, but it will be your responsibility to pay the cost of shipping the device back to STAR at the end of your loan. Now, if you have, financial struggles, please let us know so that we could work with you. But also, if you live close to St. Paul, Minnesota, and you're willing to drop off the device at our office location, we can arrange that, and that will also help you save some money on shipping. Again, I just want to stress this, that if there's any assistance needed with navigating this website or the loan process, to contact us, and we're happy to help you through that process. So what if you don't know what you're looking for? The home screen of our website is going to have different categories listed to help you lead your search. The categories include vision, hearing, speech, communication, cognition, learning, daily living, environmental adaptations, computer-related, mobility, recreation, and leisure. So these simplified categories can allow a user to find some specific devices in those areas of interest. And then housed within each of those categories is going to be several items that you can review and read over to determine if it will work out for you. Again, if you need help with any deciding on a device, or you have any questions about a specific device, feel free to contact us, and we're happy to help you. So there are some special considerations that we like to reflect on when we're recommending assistive technology. Finding the right piece of equipment and implementing the device is going to be a process. We approach it that way. Everyone has their own unique preferences and abilities. So, for example, one person with dementia is not going to be the same as the next person with dementia. So it's really important for us to treat each person on a case-by-case basis, and we're careful to not give them a one-size-fits-all recommendation without hearing their full story. Another way is a team approach. That's a great way to get the information that you need, but it also is a great way to brainstorm different solutions. Getting the individual to buy into the device is going to be key so that the individual won't become frustrated or bored with the device and stop using it, because we have seen that from time to time where somebody will get frustrated or bored with the device and stop using it. Also understand that the process is very fluid. As an individual's needs change, so will their assistive technology. All right, I've given you a good overview of our program and how it works. Let's take a look at some specific assistive technology devices that are related to spinal cord injury or individuals with impaired mobility. And we're going to start out first with some daily living products. So first up is adaptive eating. The liftware level is a robotic stabilizing technology that keeps the utensils level no matter what angle the wrist or hand is at. This is great for those that are diagnosed with cerebral palsy, stroke, or spinal cord injuries that might have muscle spasticity or limited hand movements. It comes with a spoon, a fork, and a spork head attachment that are magnetically attached to the base. The rubber strap can be tightened or loosened for a comfortable grip around the entire hand. All of the tips are dishwasher safe for easy cleaning, and the charging cradle makes it really easy to charge the batteries in between meals, so you always have a charged device. The Liftware Steady also has stabilizing technology that counteracts hand tremors or mild jerky spastic hand movements. This device has the same head attachments as the Liftware level as well. They're also dishwasher safe. The handle of this device is a little bit more bulb shaped, and it fits nicely into the palm of your hand to provide an easier grip and better stability. So both of these devices, unfortunately, are unavailable at the moment, but we're hopeful that they're going to be coming back on the market again soon. They're very popular. We are in the process of trying to figure out alternative solutions. So we're looking at the Guyeno spoon that has the same functions as the Liftware and is in stock. So it might be a great alternative. So, you know, visit our website from time to time and see if we've updated that inventory. The pour thing is a simple and effective design for those who need to pour liquids. It's been around for a while. You can do this one-handed or with possibly with a string that you could either pull or bite and pull back. But you put the carton of liquid into the cradle and it tilts forward kind of like a guillotine, you know, where it kind of swings forward. I might have the wrong thing I'm thinking of, but trebuchet, yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. And then when you pull that forward, it slowly will pour the liquid into a glass that's laid there, and then you want to return it to the standing position when you're done. So it does come in a 1.5 gallon sized option, and these can fit inside the fridge so that you can have your beverages chilled. The Obe robotic feeder on the right is the ultimate self-feeding device that is operated with switches and robotics. So it's pretty cool, state of the art, really awesome. The user would push the switch to operate the robotic arm that would swing down. So it would kind of swing down into those compartments, scoop up that food, and then swing it back up to your mouth, so that you just have to open your mouth, lean forward a little bit, and then take the food off the spoon. Another switch then will rotate the robotic arm in between the 4 compartmental trays so that the user can actually have independently choose different food options between each bite. Adaptive handle grips like the Easy Hold handles are super grippy and stretchy silicone handles that can be wrapped around any daily living utensils, such as toothbrushes. You can kind of see some of the images up here are toothbrushes, eating utensils, writing utensils, paintbrushes, combs. I mean, really anything, you name it, it can kind of wrap it around as if it's something that you need to hold in your hand. The handle holds the item snug to your hand, so individuals don't have to grip the device at all to use it. The handles come in 8 different sizes, and it fits all sizes from infant to adult. The handles are easy to clean with some soapy water and dishwasher safe. The silicone won't lose its grippiness no matter how many times you wash it. Also, from what we've experienced over the last couple of years, it does not break down with disinfecting wipes and will always maintain its stickiness. So I have personally used this with an individual who had severe arthritis in her one hand, and she hadn't been able to crochet in several months because of that. So we strapped up a crochet needle to the easy hold, and with a little bit of practice, the individual was able to crochet again. I can't believe how happy she was to be able to crochet again. In fact, I got to see her progress almost every single day. So it was really rewarding to see that. There are many trendy brand name clothing stores out there that are making adaptive clothing, including Tommy Hilfiger, Target, JCPenney, and Kohl's. They're designing clothes that are easy to put on with quick pull-on loops, Velcro, high-rise backs on pants that provide full coverage in the back when you're sitting in a wheelchair. Some sensory-friendly clothing, including tagless clothing and flat seams that will help minimize discomfort. Clothes with adjustable waistbands that provide a comfortable fit for everybody's body shape and size. And then buttons that look like traditional buttons, but are actually like magnetic clasps. So you don't have to manually manipulate a button for it to look like a real button. It's just a magnetic clasp. Shoe companies are also getting in the game. They're also designing with easier access in mind. So companies like Nike, Billy Footwear, and Zappos are designing shoes that partially or fully unzip. So putting on shoes and taking them off are getting easier. They're also using very slippery materials on the inside to make slipping shoes on and off easier. And then some shoe companies are even customizing the widths to accommodate for AFOs and people with wider ankles. The TechPal Universal Remote is designed to be the easiest universal remote control for the television. It only has 6 buttons, which are oversized and light up. And this palm-sized remote makes it easier to turn your TV on and off with the bigger buttons. Also adjust the volume and change channels. So the TechPal was specifically designed for people who were visually impaired, but people with physical impairments will also find that the TechPal Universal Remote is easy to hold and access those large buttons. You could even have this Velcroed onto a nightstand or a table, and it could be accessed with a mouth stick for those with limited to no hand movements. This remote works with most standard televisions, cable, and satellite boxes. And then the Flipper Big Button Remote is a very simplified TV remote like the TechPal for TV, cable, and satellite. It does have a slide panel that opens up that will allow you to program up to 30 channels for easier access. So you would just, surf through your channels that you want to surf through instead of having to go through the 100 and some that are on cable. It has big, colorful buttons with large print, makes it easier to see and access those buttons that you're looking for. So speech can be affected after a spinal cord injury, resulting in low voice volume. So using voice amplifiers like this Chatterbox can help an individual feel heard. It can also be used to interact with other voice-guided technologies like Alexa, Siri, and Google Assistant to help manipulate environmental controls, which I'm going to talk about next. So the Chatterbox is very simple to use. You simply plug in the microphone into the base unit, you turn on the device, you adjust the volume, and then you're all set. It comes with a protective case with a strap that can be worn around the waist or tossed around the shoulder. And it was designed for most outdoor uses, but it can be really used anywhere where amplification is needed. It comes with an over-the-ear microphone headset, but there are different options that are available. So now let's take a look at technology for environmental controls. I talked about Alexa, and I'm going to actually switch the name to Echo so I don't have people's Alexas going off. But Echo is a powerful tool to help control the environment around them. Echo can control most of our everyday items like fireplaces, lamps, curtains, TVs, fans, digital and video doorbells, and door locks. So with just a simple voice command, you are in control of your environment, which puts less burden on the caretaker, and it gives more independence to the individual. Echo can also help support cognitive deficits by providing reminders to help you create shopping lists, schedule appointments, and develop to-do lists. So that if something is important, it isn't forgotten. You can use the announcement feature to ask for help, and it will broadcast like an intercom system to other Echoes in the home. And then finally, Echo can help individuals stay in the know with current events and entertainment by broadcasting news reports, searching for new recipes, getting the latest weather, helping out with spelling, you name it. It can provide you hours of entertainment as well. So there is some button pushing technologies out there that will help with environmental controls. The flick switch is a switch about the size of a quarter that can be mounted or worn to perform many smart home tasks with the push of a button. You use the Flick app to set up the routine, such as turning on the lights or turning off the TV or making maybe a programmed announcement through the ecosystem or your app. It also works with the Apple HomeKit. One flick switch can perform up to 3 tasks by pushing the button once for one action, by pushing the button twice for another action, and by finally pushing and holding the button down for a third action. So with one button, you can perform up to 3 different actions. The SwitchBot is a button pushing device on the right-hand side here that is operated through their free app. People can place this little tiny white box next to any button that they want pushed, and the app will enable a mechanical lever that will swing out and push that button for them. So examples would include turning on and off a coffee pot, turning on and off a paddle light switch, or pushing the power button on a fan, TV, or PC tower, for instance. Really, the possibilities are endless. Wherever there's a button that needs to be pushed, this device could do that for you. Next up, we have technology for computer access. So the next few examples are going to all be mice that are ergonomically designed to help those with limited mobility and dexterity issues access the computer better. The Kensington Expert mouse on the left is a trackball mouse that has been around for a pretty long time. It can be used by individuals with limited arm and hand movement. It has a convenient scroll ring that encircles the ball to scroll up and down on a web page very easily. It is surrounded by 4 programmable buttons, so you can customize repetitive tasks like copying, pasting, and double-clicking to those buttons. So you just have to click it once. And there are about 30 different options to choose from when you're trying to program those buttons, different actions that you can do. So the animation on the right is someone using the roller mouse red. It requires no gripping or squeezing, and it has a comfortable pad rest that can be purchased separately. You can use one or both of your hands to control this mouse, which is important because dual hand mousing helps kind of share the load of mousing, and using both hands can alleviate pain and fatigue associated with one hand mouse use. In addition to the left and right click button, the mouse has a copy, paste, and double click button for those quick common tasks that people normally do. The scroll wheel is centrally located, and that allows you to easily navigate up and down a web page as well. The 3M joystick mouse is a right-handed ergonomic mouse that puts your hand in a more neutral position, like almost like a joystick, with easy access to the mouse buttons right at the thumb on the top of that joystick. The Optima joystick is a mouse that has interchangeable heads. So it has the joystick handle, which is on the picture now. And it has a T-bar handle that you can change it out to, or a foam ball tip. So it would give you different ways to grip that joystick to move. This mouse responds to the lightest touch, so it's very easy to use. It has 3 color-coded buttons that are recessed to prevent accidental clicking. So Add Mouse is a very simplified mouse, much kind of like the Optima joystick without the joystick. It has a built-in key guard and recessed keys as well to prevent accidental clicking. So a person can rest, how that works is the person kind of can rest their finger on the rigid plastic like a landing pad before committing to a specific button that they want to press. This has brightly colored keys, buttons, and bold symbols that make it easier to see. The mouse has a dedicated button to perform complex tasks like double clicking and click and drag, which can be difficult for some individuals. So now we're kind of moving into the hands-free world. The BJoy Chin mouse is a hands-free way of operating a mouse by using your chin. So you simply place your chin on the chin rest and you move the joystick up, down, left, and right with your chin. And then clicking is accessed on either side of the chin rest. So you plug this device in to a USB port and it's ready to go. And it can be used across all platforms, which is really nice. It can be used with iOS, Android, Mac, Chrome, and Windows PC as well. The PCI 5 is another great hands-free way of mousing and keyboarding by just using your eyes. So you use your eyes to gaze at the items on the screen, and the technology will track your eye movement and move the cursor wherever you look. The device can be used both indoors and outdoors, even in bright light. So if you're outside today on this bright, sunny day, it should work, and it has precise screen targeting selection technology to ensure that you are wherever you're looking is where the cursor will go. So large keyed keyboards. The larger the surface area of the key, the better chance of the user will have of hitting the correct key. So here we have a couple of examples of 2 keyboards that are designed to have extra large keys. They're also brightly colored so that you can see them easier as well. The Mateus half keyboard allows a person to type one-handed by holding down the space bar on the keyboard, and it will mimic the other side of the keyboard. So for example, if you held down the space bar and press the letter D over on the left-hand side of the keyboard, it's actually going to display what's on the right-hand side of the keyboard and will display the letter K. So it just allows a person to truly type one-handed if they're able to do that. Some basic kind of low-tech options would be typing sticks. They're very low-tech for people with limited dexterity. That allows a person to push the keys with the precision of a finger when they may not have the ability to do that. Again, we're talking about key guards. Here's a keyboard key guard. When it's placed over the keyboard, it can create those ridges that give the finger a landing pad to rest their finger on before they're committing to that key that they want to push. And it allows them to be able to type without accidentally clicking the button. If they can pause on that key guard, it can prevent accidental clicking and what they call fat finger typing, where you're hitting 2 or 3 keys together. So Dragon Professional or Dragon Home is a very powerful dictation program that utilizes artificial intelligence to transcribe speech into text with minimal errors. So someone can write a complete report, memo, email, or whatever they're looking to type out without touching a single key on the keyboard. There's even some built-in mousing commands that will control the mouse with your voice and using voice commands in order to navigate the screen and open programs completely hands-free. All right, finally, our last area of interest would be mobile devices. When I worked at Courage Kenny, I worked with patients who had primarily experienced stroke and spinal cord injuries. So gaining access to mobile devices, mostly phones, was a huge part of what I did there. Almost everyone has a cell phone nowadays, and I just like to throw this out there that you don't realize how dependent you are on them until you lose the ability to physically access them due to an injury. So oftentimes when I would show people these alternative methods, it literally brought tears to their eyes because they were able to have access to their phone again. One of the first interventions that we would do if they had the ability was to try an adapted stylus. So as you can see here on this slide, there are a number of different adaptations. On the slide, you can see that there's some that are anchored to the hand, to the mouth, to the head, and materials can be in different forms, such as foam, molded plastic, or even on the top right here, we have a do-it-yourself commercial twist tie that was taken off the shelf and twisted around the hand and around a standard stylus to create a stylus that a person didn't have to grip physically. And then the Easy Flex stylus on the bottom right is something that we actually have in our lending library inventory. So it is a flexible yet rigid stylus that can be molded around the hand for stability, and it doesn't require any grip. It can be positioned between two fingers like you're seeing in this picture, and act as like an extension of your finger. The tip on this is extremely conducive, so touchscreens are very receptive to this type of stylus. Jabberwocky is a free app. It utilizes a front-facing camera to track your head movement and mimics it onto the screen with a mouse dot. Users can move their head around to move the mouse dot around on their screen. And then when they're ready to click on something, they just have to use a facial gesture to do that. So gestures include opening the mouth or winking. So in this animation, the person on the bottom right of the screen is moving his head around and clicking by opening his mouth. What I like about this app is the ability to disable the feature if you're wanting to kind of get it out of the way or not click on things accidentally if you're talking, opening your mouth. So you can simply shake your head no, and the little cursor will go into the background and you won't see it. And it won't click on anything. It's kind of like disabled. But when you're ready to bring that back to navigate, you can just simply shake your head no again. And then it comes back up to the forefront so that you can use it to navigate your screen. This is only available for Android products, so you need to go to the Google Play Store. It is free, and you do need to have a front-facing camera to be able to utilize this. So the Glasshouse is another hands-free method of mousing. This device is worn like a pair of glasses. There is an infrared sensor that goes across the brow of the glasses that track your head movement, and they mimic it on the screen. Clicking is performed in several ways, including a bite switch, a puff switch, a foot switch, a finger, a pillow switch are all options, and even a regular like little push button switch that you can purchase separately. The bite switch is what's being used in this animation. This is a mouse that goes across all platforms again, including iOS, Mac, Android, Chrome, and Windows PC. We just recently received a couple of newer Glasshouse products called the Glasshouse Pro and Link. It also makes it gives you some hands-free options that allow you to switch between multiple devices. So this can be paired with up to 3 devices simultaneously all at once. You do have to kind of go between each device. You can't do 3 at once. So you have to switch into each device, but you can pair up to 3 different devices simultaneously with these devices. You can create some customizable switching options. Again, you know, you're using the different puff switch, bite switch, button switch, foot switch that I talked about to be able to perform different actions that you can program, such as right click, left click, double click, lots of different options to make it very customizable. So again, these devices also work across all platforms, including iOS, Android, Mac, Chromebook, and Windows. It does make it one of the most friendly hands-free options out there. The main difference between the Pro and the Link is that the Pro is a head mouse. So as you move around, it's going to have that cursor that moves around the screen, whereas the Link is more of a switch controller. So you would have to set up in the settings switch scanning for the Link. And it would scan through what you could click on, and then you would use the switches that you have plugged into the Link to be able to select those. So voice control uses voice commands. It's been around for a while now to perform all the functions that you need to navigate your Apple device with just some voice commands. It's built into the operating system of all your Apple devices with the iOS version of 13 or higher, which is most devices nowadays. You simply go into the settings under accessibility and you turn it on and you can just start using it. This is a very popular task that I used to train patients when I worked in the rehab facility who had no arm movement as a result of spinal cord injuries. So voice control is only available for Apple iOS users, but Android has their own version and it's called Voice Access. So actually I have a little video here of how it works. So let's take a look at that.
When voice control is turned on, a blue microphone appears in the top left corner of your screen. Let's check out some basic screen navigation commands. Go home.
Sorry.
Swipe left. Swipe right. Open notes. What can I say? This brings up a list of some of the most useful voice control commands. You can say, go back, to return to the previous screen. You can also make various adjustments in Control Center. Let's turn down the volume. Open Control Center. Turn down the volume. Perfect. To see a list of all the commands you can use, just say, Show Commands, for a glossary in the voice control section of your iPhone settings.
So moving on to Google Action Blocks, this will take a very complex task that requires multiple steps and can condense it down to one click. So for example, say you wanted to call your mom and place her on speakerphone. First, you'd have to locate her as a contact in your contact list. Then you'd have to hit the call button. Then you'd have to tap the screen and you'd have to look for that speakerphone button. And then you'd have to tap that. So that's 4 actions to do one thing. And so it has to also be done in a sequential way with the right combination in order to do it correctly. So that can be very difficult for somebody with limited hand movement. And so action blocks will complete all those steps, all 4 of those steps by pushing one button. So when you set up an action block, it puts a widget on your icon on your home screen. And these widgets can be enlarged, so you could have it bigger on your home screen, and it can be customized. So you can add a picture, different colors or different symbols to that widget box. So now you can customize your action block by putting a picture of mom on there and make it 3 times larger, making it easy to find and use. So this app is only available for Android devices. iOS has an equivalent and it's called Siri Shortcuts. But I don't believe it's as customizable as Google Action Blocks. And we do have a quick video here as well, kind of showing you how it works.
The problem with apps is that they require a certain amount of cognitive function. And so the user will have to make choices, they'll have to remember things, they'll have to enter text, they'll have to change text. Google already had a product that solved a lot of these problems for users with cognitive disabilities. And that product is the Google Assistant. We had to create a way to enable the use of Assistant for people that didn't have voice or for whom voice would be cognitively burdensome. An action block is really just a block on your home screen that you can tap in order to ask Assistant to do something for you.
You can very easily create widgets on your home screen that allow you with one press to watch a movie, to control home automation, or to message a family member.
So mounting was another one of the top tasks that I completed when I worked with spinal cord injury patients. There are several different types of mounts out there to help with mobile devices to attach it to any surface. Here are just a couple of the common types that I used, including the RAM mount and modular hose mount. The RAM mount on the left uses a ball and socket type of mechanism where you turn the lever on to clamp onto a ball, and it creates a super rigid hold. So once it's tightened, the mount doesn't move. Because of this rigidity, the mount is recommended for heavier mobile devices like tablets or smaller laptops. The components of this mount are made of metal, so they withstand all the elements, making a mount that will last for a very long time. The modular hose mount on the right is made of durable, weather-resistant plastic that is linked together to form like a spine-like function. The plastic links for the mount can be added to or taken away, and you can make them customizable heights. The spine-like structure provides the user the flexibility to move it out of the way, but it also provides a rigid enough structure to hold most cell phones and smaller tablets. The flexibility is key with this one. It's really important, especially when others are trying to transfer in and out of a wheelchair. So there are a number of ways to attach mounting to a surface. Most of the mounts that I installed were on wheelchairs, so I often used the C-clamp, which is pictured on the bottom right picture here, to attach that to spokes or bars of a wheelchair. It fits a round object very nicely. So we at STAR are in the process of ordering some of these mounts. We do currently have a mount called the friction knob mount. It's similar to the RAM mount, but there are a little different setup when you're connecting the arm pieces together. The Levo G2 mount is a great all-around floor mount. It's on wheels, making it very easy to move from one place to another. The height can be adjusted to whatever height preference you need, and the arm kind of swings out in and out, and it brings the device as close as possible to you when you are seated. The area where the mobile device sits, the little flat part there, is able to tilt 360 degrees, so you can view that device at any angle, even when you're laying in bed. So it's good for any kind of seating situation. It does have a hefty weighted base, so it makes it very hard for it to tip over. So that's kind of a nice safety concern when you have heavier devices on there. Alrighty, guys, I have reached the end of my presentation, and I wanted to give you some contact information. The first is our main website that's devoted to explaining what our program offers. The second website is the home of our device lending library, where you can begin researching the different devices that are available for loan and demonstration. And then finally, we have our general email and phone number listed in case you have any follow-up questions after this presentation, or you want any assistance with anything after the presentation and into the future. So I know I've thrown a ton of stuff at you today. I appreciate you hanging in there, and I am available for questions at this time.
James, thank you so much for the wonderful presentation.
Thanks.
So we do invite you to go ahead and type any questions into the Q&A box at this time. One did come up mid-presentation, and I think I got the context of it, but this individual is asking if you could drop off at a particular facility, and they mentioned the Southeast Minnesota Center for Independent Living. So I'm assuming like dropping off devices to loan. Is that an option?
That is possible, yeah. It's very rare that that happens, but we could definitely work something out for sure.
And another person wrote, does your program loan gaming equipment?
We do have a couple of gaming stuff. We actually have a Nintendo Switch that has the Hori Flex, which is basically a component that will allow each one of those multiple buttons on a Nintendo Switch to be switch adapted. So you plug in a switch and then you can arrange those switches however you want, whether it's, by your head or the back of your elbow. That would allow you to push that button to be able to interact with the game. So we are hoping to expand on that a little bit more with gaming being very popular. It's kind of a trending thing with AT right now. And so we're hoping to add some more to our lending library.
Great. And the individual who asked the first question clarified, and she'd like to know, drop off the devices after they're done using them at that facility.
Right. Yeah. So at the end of the loan is what I assume they're meaning. At the end of the 45 days. Yes, we could arrange for that to happen.
Wonderful. Another individual asked, do you loan out of state? Great question.
We do not. We would, if you're calling from a different state or wanting it to be shipped to a different state, we would refer you to your state's assistive technology program, who's going to be similar, a little different, but similar in having a lending library to be able to try in that state. Now, with that said, we do have a unique partnership with North Dakota Assistive Technology. Their state assistive technology partners with us because we don't have a nonprofit or a different type of organization in Northwest Minnesota. And their office is located in Fargo, which is right on the border. So therefore, we do partner with them to kind of service our Northwest Minnesota residents. So we would, if you're in that quadrant, we would refer you to either RATSI in Moorhead or North Dakota Assistive in Fargo.
Okay. Well, that actually hits another question that was in the chat about wondering if there's a similar program in Texas. So it sounds like each state will have something similar to this, and you could probably find out on the web.
Yes, there is a website actually that will help you track down your local assistive technology program. It's AT3. I can maybe even quickly throw that into the chat for you.
Yeah.
Hang tight for a second. Is there any more questions while I do that?
Yes. So this will be the last one, because then we have to wrap it up here. But if a person borrows a piece of equipment, do you provide tech support if they need assistance once they get it home?
Yes. Yep. So if you're having technical support and it's something that we can troubleshoot, we'll definitely do that with you. If it's malfunctioning and it's beyond the scope of what we're able to do, like maybe it's got a damaged internal component, we're going to probably ask for you we would probably work with you to ship that back at our cost, since you didn't get an opportunity to fairly try that device, have you ship that back, and then we would get that repaired or figure out what we want to do with that device. I did post the website that will help you locate your state's local assistive technology program in the chat. Oh, I did it to the panelists. Sorry, hang on, let me click to everyone. There you go. You should have it now.
Great, thank you. Well, I think that'll probably do it for our time today. If you wouldn't mind advancing to the next slide, thank you. So again, thank you so much for your great presentation, Jameis, and thank you all for attending today's Grand Rounds. And we apologize if there's more questions, but our time has run out. So do feel free to reach out to Jameis directly if you'd like to follow up regarding your question. The recording for this webinar will be posted soon on our SCIMS website with a link to our YouTube channel. And as a reminder, see the chat for information on how to obtain CME credit for attending today's webinar. At the end of the webinar, a brief 3-question survey will pop up, and we'd appreciate any feedback you might have. We also hope you can join us for next Grand Rounds, which will be on Thursday, June 1st at noon Central, where Joe Daly, Joey Carlson, and Matthew Roderick will present Minnesota Community Organizations and Engagement, Building Bridges. So thank you all, and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone.